Hey everyone, welcome to Truth by Bella, where all gems on life lessons, relationship, faith, and entrepreneurship are released. Hi, it's your girl Isabella here. I am the podcast host of Truth by Bella. One scripture that I really stand on for my podcast is John 8:32, which states, "You will know the truth and the truth will set you free." So one thing I love about myself is I am definitely a person that's always willing to learn and also sharing the knowledge that I learned with others as well. Within my podcast, still in my season 2 on focusing on relationships, one thing I could say is if you know me personally, I find joy in talking about relationships because I feel like you can definitely learn from people that are single, people that are dating, engaged, married, in long years of marriage, and people that I've even encountered divorce and that are dating again. You can learn so much different knowledge from them, different perspectives, lessons that they learn, experiences that they've had as well, and kind of grow from there. I feel like we kind of forget that is a big dynamic when it comes to our relationship is God. God is the author of our lives. He writes our stories. He makes sure that the plans that He has called for us, as it states in Jeremiah 29 verses 11, that He has a plan for our lives and it will surely come to pass as the Lord has stated. So give so much joy in that, because I want to make sure that whatever relationship you're in, that ensure that it glorifies God. So I was kind of thinking that, a lot of times people here associate purpose with either just themselves or they just associate it with their marriage. And that's definitely a great thing to know, because when it comes to marriage, there's always a purpose that the Lord has stated for you and your partner, right? But I want to kind of come at this from a different perspective, right? So please listen with an open mind and an open heart as well. And also take notes as well if you're a note taker just like myself. So I was wondering, is there really a purpose in singleness? What am I supposed to be doing during this season? As I've spoken in past episodes, I'm dating with intention. I'm dating with a purpose. I'm not dating because, I just want to have fun and I just want to fill up time. But I want to make sure that I'm dating with a purpose. So, y'all, because it's literally something that I feel like a lot of times single people don't talk about it, or we may talk about it in a sense, but we may complain as well, is that yes, there are moments where we look at other people and we think everything that they got going on is great. But one thing that I learned is that I can never, personally for me, is that I can never make somebody a relationship goal, right? Because granted, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We only are able to see one dynamic of a person's relationship. So I feel like one thing that we should always definitely do is create our own relationship goal, what do we want our relationship with God to look like? What do we want our relationship with our friends to look like? What do we want our relationship with our families to look like? And most importantly, what do we want our relationship with our partner to look like as well? I'm going to touch on one relationship that I feel like is very important when you're single to definitely build up, and that's your relationship with God. One opportunity in your single life that you have is definitely to grow in your faith and grow in your relationship with God. As a single person, you have the freedom to honestly choose what you want to do at the time you want to do it and how you want to go about it. And that's one thing that I enjoy. Just pray in the future that doesn't change, but I definitely know that when I come into partnership as well, there's another person I'm going to consider. When I built my family, there are little people that I need to consider as well. So right now, I'm really cherishing that singleness that I'm in. There's really no harm in that. But one thing I'm able to do as well is really block out every distraction, every interruption, and make sure that I'm focusing on God. So personally for me, I'm taking so much trips, and I know it may be weird for some people. Definitely, I love to travel alone, and when I travel alone, there's something that I always intentionally do. I go with a goal, I go with a plan to make sure these are things I need to knock out, these are things I need to see, but this is also to the person I need to spend my time with, and that person is God. And I don't ever want to limit that, and especially even to when getting into partnership as well, that's something that I will continue to carry with me. Another advantage of being a single person that I learned is that the self-care that you can give to yourself. So you don't have to invest so much time in caring so much about another individual unless you're in that dating courting stage and going from there. But you also to have time to take care of yourself. Pay attention to the things that you need. So let's say, for instance, if you want to build a lifestyle that you are able just to work out, definitely to take care of yourself. That's very important for you to do. Also, to make sure your mental health is in like good condition. You get it? Because I feel like a lot of times when you're single, and if you don't address this when you're single, it's only going to magnify when you get married. And that is dealing with any childhood trauma that you've dealt with. I remember one thing that I heard was that a lot of times when you're single, right, we have different love languages that we all carry. But someone made this comment one time and it stuck with me, and I was like, man, this is deep. And is that our love language is cultivated by what we experience as a child. You get me? So if you weren't a child that literally had that much time with their family and stuff, one of your top love language may actually be quality time. Or it may be hearing, like if you as a child, if you didn't hear so much compliments or so much good things from your family, like, hey, I appreciate you, I love what you're doing, you will have a desire, and especially a love language that will be very top for you, will be words of affirmation. So really, in your single season, deal with any childhood trauma that you have. Take time to explore past hurts that you've had, and make sure you are healed before merging your life with another person. Because once you do that, when you heal before merging with another person, honestly, it becomes a great blessing from there, because you're able to move forward. You're able not to hold the things of the past onto the person that's coming in, but it gives you a peace that you also have as well. Next aspect that I want to touch on is being content, y'all. So a lot of times singles, and I can agree with this because I was at this one stage as well, is we find ourselves waiting instead of living. Like, if I can tell y'all, live your best life, and I'm saying this with all emphasis, all energy, please make sure to live your best life while you're single. That doesn't mean date this person, date that person, all that stuff, which if you choose to, I guess that's your own thing. But like, honestly, live life, like travel, take classes, meet and fellowship with other people, but make sure you are also knowing who you are in that process. Because I feel like sometimes I've heard this from single friends that I have as well. It was like, oh, I can't wait, where my man at? My man need a pop up and all that stuff. And it's just like, in my mind, like, granted, I feel like sometimes people have that desire for different reasons, but like, if you're just waiting for someone so you can get to a certain stage, like, let's say, granted, like, God is having you wait for like 10 years. How would you feel at that 9th year? How would you feel at that 10th year when that person hasn't shown up yet? So we need to stop putting ourselves on such a timeline and really think about, like, okay, how can I really be happy? How can I really be content and stuff? What are things that I'm learning by myself? Like, what can I enjoy? What trips can I take by myself instead of waiting for somebody else to join along? And one thing that I've seen on social media was that there was this couple that literally, they were sitting on the plane together. It was a single guy, a single girl, and through conversation is how they met from there. So, and the girl was saying that for her, in her singleness, she was so content, like, she's traveled, she's been to other places. So meeting someone too that also had that same passion as well, literally, like, just opened a door for her that got her so excited. And I want to touch on how you can also too, while you're single, do more. If you attend church, you have an opportunity to serve within a ministry and go into a mindset of serving, not to be seen, but actually to really glorify God in your service. Do the service unto God and not unto man. One story, or even two stories I can think about in the Bible, was the story of Ruth and Boaz, and then the story of Rebecca and Isaac. And one thing that I love from both dynamics is that both of the ladies within those stories were doing something in terms of serving. So Ruth was, attending to the field. Rebecca was just approaching the well, literally doing her daily duties, where she got noticed from there. So when you think about it, it's so important, and I'm speaking from a lady's perspective, is that I want to be at that stage, and I will want a lot of my single ladies to be at the stage where they're found doing something that they're truly passionate about. So if you love helping kids, at least visiting a shelter, helping out, serving there, giving back to the community, donating, charity events and stuff, like, people have found their partners at those different avenues. You don't need to just sit back at home and wait for one day for somebody to pop up and be like, hey, I like you, but actually make yourself available, and also too, as well, is the attitude that you have is really important. So if you are doing something and you're not doing it with so much joy, even someone that sees you would know, wait, so what? My language, pardon me. But like, okay, so what's going on with this person here? Like, are you okay? So make sure, like, when you're doing stuff, like, be joyful, have a little smile, have a little, personality. Don't be dull. Do not be dull, y'all. Okay, so the next part that is really important is practicing self-discipline. And I know when people are single, that we are sometimes afraid to be who we want to be. Especially when you're meeting someone new, you try to present the great stuff about you. You try to highlight the great stuff that are about you and stuff, but also to do not fake who you are to try to get something that you want. One thing I generally believe in is being transparent and also being honest. So I have been in stages where I'm dating, and when I'm getting to know a person, I generally am myself. So I've heard guys say, yo, you're so annoying, but like, not annoying in a bad sense, but like annoying that I love asking questions. I love hearing how a person thinks, and that's just naturally me, because it's also too something that's a part of my personality that I want to bring in the picture. I don't want that I am coming into a picture with someone and I'm not saying much. I'm just like, okay, all right, yeah, I agree. Like, no, you can have a little debate here and there, but one thing that's really just like kind of want to highlight is that you're being yourself. And when you do that, discipline comes in. So I believe setting boundaries, also setting with yourself as a timeline. So one boundary that I have is just like, I don't really entertain conversations pertaining certain topics, because I know myself, and I'm able to pick up on the person I'm dealing with, and will know that, hey, if we're to speak on this topic here, it may open a door to something else that I may not be ready to respond in from there. Also too, when I said set a timeline, is that if you're getting to know a person, set a timeline on how long you want to be single and how long you want to like know yourselves. So if you're like, okay, 3 months, I definitely want to just focus it on myself here, and then after that 3 months is over, I'm able to open the door to dating from there. Or if you want to do 6 months, if you want to do a year, make sure you kind of within that time, you're not doing things because you are lonely, but you're doing it because you are genuinely wanting to learn yourself. So when you are at that stage of knowing who you are, when you transition into the stage of dating, like if someone's to come at you and be like, hey, you are this, you are that, you are able to correct them with what you know about yourself. You're able to correct them with what the word says you are. You're beautifully and wonderfully made. You are the apple of God's eye. Like just those things, like you're able to speak those and also speak to your mind as well. Make sure that your mind is aligned with what the words that are coming out your mouth are saying, because you don't want to confuse yourself. You don't want to believe a lie that someone else is telling you on who they think you are. You genuinely know yourself. The next thing that I kind of want to touch on is enjoy a simple life. less complications, handling your responsibilities, handling expectations. The only person you have to worry about is truly yourself. You have a level of freedom that does not exist when you're in a relationship. You get to decide where you live at, like I was mentioning earlier, what your schedule is going to be like, what kind of lifestyle you want to live, and how you spend your time, and also to your money as well. These items are major things that between married couples that are kind of like, it changes so much different thing. When you are a single person, you have control over that. But like, because you've built up those habits when you're single, when you're coming into marriage, you know on what to expect. You know exactly on how to present that to your partner from there. So everything you do in your singleness, it helps you when you come into your marriage part. And I want to remind you guys of this, that singleness is really a gift from God. I feel like our society puts such an emphasis on couples and the adults that have partners, and it make it seem like it's odd when you don't have a partner or when you are single. But literally in the word it states, and Paul speaks on how it's a gift. In 1 Corinthians 7 verses 7, it states, I wish everyone was a single just as I am. Each person has a special gift from God, of one of a kind. And that's actually true. I believe it. And also too, Jesus even states within Matthew 19 verses 11 that for whom those it's been given to, you need to cherish that. So that's something that we need to always remember, that singleness is a gift from God, and that also that singleness is not permanent. That the Lord would definitely honor what he has spoken on your life. And also too, if you've made just declarations or words out of your mouth saying, yo, I'm gonna be single, oh my God, I'm not gonna be with anybody and all that stuff, I ask you, if you have that desire of marriage in the future, I want you to renounce those words that you said on you being single forever. And I want you to know that that is not gonna be your portion. I want you to be positive. Definitely be positive. In the time you're waiting, make sure you're living your life like things I've stated today. And I really want just to make sure that you have that goal. One thing that I've learned coming into this year is the importance of having vision, right? Is writing things down. Make sure you believe it as well, because if you don't believe that you deserve the best, honestly, what will manifest is things that you are kind of not seeing, so I really just speak this for you. If you're listening, you're in the stage of singleness, if you're in the stage of dating, if you're in the stage of marriage as well, I want to just speak this encouragement to you. I want you to know that you deserve honestly the best, that God was very intentional when he created you. God was very intentional about the timeline on things that will take place. Make sure you're always praying into your future, which is something that I always do a lot. And I want you to do the same. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I hope that it was truly a blessing to you. And also to feel free to share with others that can be encouraged by this. My next episode, I will touch on red flags and some green flags when it comes to dating as a Christian, and share you guys some insight and some things I've learned and my own personal dating journey. You guys are on this journey with me as well. If you're single, dating, married and stuff, I feel like you can definitely relate to me on any standpoint that I'm at, and I want to make sure I'm keeping the transparency when it comes to you guys. So we'll touch on the red flags, we'll touch on the green flags when it comes to communication and all that good stuff. Okay, thank you for listening to Truth by Bella's podcast. Make sure to share with a friend, share with anyone that you know, share your social media, encourage those that are listening. Okay, so have a blessed day and speak with you guys soon.